Okay, it's 2:08.
Okay, Mr. Galvan, we had spent some time going through your original lawsuit in this case where that was filed by you and your wife against both Blaine Cruz and Hannah Cruz, correct?
Correct.
And on this verification that was attached to the back of the lawsuit, it says that you have read the original petition and application for temporary restraining order, and the facts stated therein are within my personal knowledge and are true and correct. Do you see that statement?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything about that that's inaccurate as we sit here today?
No, I don't.
Okay, and you had you signed this under oath in front of a notary, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And your wife signed a similar affidavit in front of a notary as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. After you file this petition and serve my clients, some point shortly thereafter, I believe on or about the 11th or 12th of December, I filed on behalf of my clients some motions to dismiss your claims. You understood that that happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that I, on behalf of the Cruzes, were seeking to have the court throw out some of your claims, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you received those motions back around the time that they were filed, correct?
I guess I don't know. I guess so. I don't.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. I filed what's called a 91A motion to dismiss, and one of the things that I talked about in there was the fact that to the extent your pleadings reflected an alleged assault by Hannah Cruz, or defamation by Hannah Cruz, or intentional infliction of emotional distress by Hannah Cruz, that was not covered in your pleadings, and you should have to drop the things being brought against Hannah Cruz, who was the named defendant in the case. Did you understand that at the time?
I'm not sure I understand it now.
Okay. Let me ask Mr. Galvan, did you understand that we were trying to dismiss some things because you were bringing causes of action against Hannah Cruz for things that she did not do?
No.
Who is that? Mr. Galvan that said that?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. You'd agree with me that Hannah Cruz didn't commit any assault against you or your wife, correct?
Correct.
And you already testified that she didn't make any statements to any third parties, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know that she made any.
That's correct.
And to the extent your attorneys argued against dismissing those claims, I'm going to take it you don't have any understanding as to their reasoning for that.
No, I don't.
Okay. I also filed, I'm sure you're aware of this, a motion to dismiss your case for defamation per se related to what's called the Texas Citizens Participation Act, which is commonly called the anti-SLAPP statute. That's something you know from your experience in this litigation, correct?
Yes.
And in conjunction with that, I filed affidavits from, particularly from Hannah Cruz, correct?
Yes.
And you had a chance to review that affidavit, correct?
I think so. I believe so, yes.
Okay. Before we get to that, let me jump back here. I'll represent to you. I filed those motions, then at some point you filed, or your attorneys caused to be filed, a first amended petition, which is a modified version of the original filing. In the interest of efficiency, I don't want to go through that action by action, but I have pulled it up, Ms. Rimmer, and I will attach all 19 pages of it. The fax cover sheet says 42, but the petition was just 19. I'm going to attach the 19 pages of the first amended original petition filed on February 8th, 2019, as Exhibit 3. Mr. Galvan, you don't dispute that your attorneys in this case filed an amended petition on or about February 8th, do you?
No,
Okay. And that petition contained the same essentially the same allegations with some amendments that we may talk about, but the same causes of action. And I don't want you to take my word for it. I'm going to scroll through here quickly. Do you see requests for permanent injunction against defendants?
yes,
Do you see the assault heading?
yes,
Do you see the intentional infliction of emotional distress heading?
yes,
Do you see the defamation per se heading?
yes,
Do you see the public disclosure of private facts heading?
yes,
With respect to the defamation per se, it says there on the first part of it, that's something I probably should have covered in the other petition. First line, in the addition to an alternative of all other claims, plaintiffs seek recovery under a theory of defamation per se. Do you see that?
yes.
Have you identified any statements in your deposition today that were defamatory as to your wife, Sonia Galvan?
I don't understand that question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we were trying to define defamation earlier, and you were talking about it was something false or bad that was said. Do you remember that, some of that testimony?
Yeah, untrue.
Untrue. There aren't any things in your lawsuit pleadings about statements made about your wife that were untrue, correct?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't.
Well, Blaine didn't call the church or the school to talk about your wife. He called to talk about you. Is that fair?
Blaine called, I told people that she knew, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
Is he Thank you for clarifying, Mr. Galvan. With respect to any statement by Blaine that said she knew, is it your contention that that statement was false?
When would that be?
Back when you filed this petition in 2018.
Okay. You're kind of losing me, sir. I apologize.
Okay, I'll try to be more clear. In 2018, when you filed your lawsuit, did your wife, Miss Sonia Galvan, know about the 2007 incident with Hannah at the hotel, the La Quinta Hotel?
Yes.
Okay. And the only statement she heard Blaine say were the same ones that you heard on the phone call, correct?
Yes.
And she didn't have any communications, she being your wife, Sonia, didn't have any communications with the church or the school. That was you that did that, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Your wife Sonia didn't have any communications with the church or the school, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So is your wife's knowledge defamatory only in the same sense that you're alleging defamatory statements that she knew that you had this incident with Hannah in 2007, but she did not know of anything that constituted manipulation or seduction? Is that a fair statement of your position?
Objection form.
I don't. Didn't know in 2007. Is that
In 2000,
didn't know what?
in 2000,
You didn't
okay,
know
yeah,
in
let me-
2007.
in 2018, it's your position. I think this is what you've testified to, or the summation of your testimony, that your wife would be of the opinion that what you did was not manipulation and seduction, correct?
Objection form.
I still don't
Is
know.
that something I'm gonna have to ask her?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm gonna scroll down through. This is your First Amendment petition, Exhibit 3 that I'm scrolling through. You're still asking for your First Amendment petition, $335,000 in defamation damages, plus $500,000 in pain and suffering damages. You see that?
Yes.
Had you made any damage calculations between the time you filed your first petition and this amended petition?
No.
Okay. The $335,000 figure for defamation, you agree with me, that's a pretty big chunk of money, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's associated with what you would consider the special damage associated with having the kind of things said about you that you believe were not to be true, correct?
Objection form.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's related to defamation. You're asking for $335,000 related to defamation,
Objection form.
correct?
It's, no, that's not correct. It reads actual damages and special damages.
Okay, here we go.
Pain and suffering.
Actual damages and special damages from the defendants in an amount of no less than $335,000 associated with plaintiff's claim of defamation. You see that? It's letter A on the amended petition.
Yes, I do.
So you're asking for damages associated with defamation in the amount of $335,000 at least.
Did you say are or were, Mr. Chapman?
I don't understand.
You were at the time you filed this amended petition.
Yes.
Is that large figure associated with defamation because having this kind of thing said about you can be severely damaging and cause special damages? That was your contention at the time, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Sorry.
We'll move on. But you believed at the time, or at least it was in your petition that you agreed with, that you had suffered special damages related to defamation on this subject, correct?
Yes.
And your lawyers had included special damages in their petition, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to scroll on through again. And here we are. This is your affidavit that was attached to your amended petition that I've attached. It's Exhibit 3. Do you see that?
Yes.
And the first part says it's very similar to the other one. It says you have read the first amended original petition, an application for temporary restraining order, and you have read the response to the motion to dismiss per says CPRC Chapter 27 and motion to transfer venue. Do you see that language?
Yes.
And you're saying that the facts stated therein were within your personal knowledge, excuse me, and were true and correct. You see that?
Yes.
Is there anything about that that's inaccurate as we are sitting here today?
No.
I'm going to scroll down. Just 1 second. You're fine. Sorry, I'm looking for some certain language that Should be jumping off the page at me and it's not. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. In the second paragraph of this affidavit that I have now got the right part of it pulled up on the screen, the first sentence is, I, Richard Galvan, hereby state Blaine Cruz did the following on October 21st, 2018 at 7:01. You see that language?
Yes.
It says, I called Blaine Cruz in response to Blaine Cruz's repeated contacts with my wife, Sonia Galvan. During the conversation, Blaine Cruz claimed in 2007 that I manipulated and seduced Hannah Cruz. Do you see that?
Yes.
Have I read that correctly?
Yes.
The next sentence reads, this is false. Do you see that?
Yes.
What was false in that affidavit? What are you referring to as being false?
Objection form.
Basis?
That I manipulated and seduced Hannah Cruz.
And the objection for specificity, Mr. Chapman, was you asked what was incorrect about that affidavit.
Oh, thank you. Let me correct that. You're saying, Mr. Galvan, this is false refers to manipulation and seduction, correct?
Yes.
If your lawyers contended on the record in open court that this is false, in fact meant that you had never had any relationship with Hannah Cruz of a romantic or sexual nature, that would itself would not be a true statement about your affidavit, correct?
Objection form.
I don't have any idea, unfortunately, of what you're asking me.
Okay. Are you aware whether or not your lawyers use the words "this is false" to tell a court that you never had any sexual relationship with Hannah Cruz?
No.
If they did that, that would be improper, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's not what you meant by "this is false" in this affidavit, correct?
Objection form. And for specificity, Mr. Chapman, asking my client what he meant on something and asking my client what lawyers may have meant when they did something that he's saying he has no knowledge of are two different things.
Objection to sidebar. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Galvan, what you meant in this affidavit by saying this is false is specifically saying only manipulation and seduction are false, correct?
Correct.
You never intended this affidavit to infer that you didn't have a physical sexual relationship with Hannah Cruz, did you?
Objection form to relationship.
You didn't intend this affidavit to be read to say or inferred to say that you didn't ever have sex with Hannah Cruz. Is that right?
Yes.
If your lawyers said that on your behalf, they were wrong to say that, weren't they?
Objection form.
I don't know what, I don't know. I can't answer that question for them.
Did you write this affidavit yourself, or is this typed in a lawyer's office?
Objection form. It could be both.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you write out the exact language of this affidavit yourself, Mr. Galvan?
No.
Was it prepared at your lawyer's office?
Yes.
And then you signed it agreeing to it, correct?
Yes.
And when you signed it agreeing to it, you were saying this is false about manipulation and seduction, correct?
Correct.
All right, I'm going to move on to an Exhibit 4. Let me get that pulled up. All right, Mr. Galvan, can you tell me what document you see in front of you?
Affidavit of Hannah Cruz in support of defendant's motion to dismiss.
You've seen this affidavit before, correct?
Yes,
And you know that this is what we presented as Hannah Cruz's account of what happened between you and her, correct?
yes,
Mr. Galvan, I have received some discovery responses from you as of yesterday addressing your contentions about things that are in this affidavit, and we'll go over that in a minute. But what I want to ask you is as follows. If you did not agree with the things that Hannah Cruz was saying in this affidavit, why did you not file a counter affidavit making those contentions known to the court?
I don't know, sir. I don't know.
After you signed this affidavit on February 8th, relating to the first amended petition, you would agree with me, you didn't sign any other sworn statements in this case, correct?
Correct.
Objection form, I
You
think
never,
the motion to non-suit may have been sworn to, but I'm not positive. So
Okay.
just
you
form.
never, let me clarify, you never signed any sworn affidavit testimony, correct? After this February 8th affidavit attached to the first amended petition.
Correct.
You didn't challenge Hannah Cruz's account of what happened between you and her prior to the motion to dismiss being heard by the trial court, did you?
I don't know what you mean by challenge, but I don't understand.
Okay, you didn't file a sworn statement telling the court that some of this affidavit you didn't agree with, did you?
No,
You didn't try to show up and appear and give live testimony telling the court that you didn't agree with what Hannah Cruz said about this encounter or your interactions with each other, did you?
no,
You didn't attempt to file any new affidavit evidence or other evidence at the Court of Appeals level, did you?
no, no.
And it seems then the first time that we have a disagreement that you have submitted to me with respect to Hannah Cruz's affidavit is in the discovery responses that your lawyer sent me yesterday. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any particular reason that you know of that you waited 2 years and almost, well, a year and a half at least into this litigation before challenging this affidavit?
I have a new attorney, new lawyer.
Well, let's go through your comments on the Hannah Cruz affidavit. Paragraph 1 and 2, I take it you don't have any issue with those basic statements.
That's correct.
Do one thing here before I get too off track. I'm trying to keep my notes clean for the court reporter on the numbers of the exhibits. Okay. Paragraph 3, I'm referring to discoveries. You recall, I think you should recall anyways, strike that. You recall the statements that you just verified yesterday that were in your supplemental interrogatories, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Looking at Hannah Cruz's affidavit, it says, I met both Sonia and Richard Galvan prior to my teenage years. Is there anything incorrect about that statement?
No,
Okay. They were part of your church, Northway Bible Church. Anything incorrect about that?
no,
you're telling me, I think in your discovery responses, you say, I sat under their, this is your response to me yesterday that I'm reading from, and you say the statement, I sat under their leadership and mentorship as a regular youth group member and attendee. You're telling me that's not true?
That's correct.
Are you saying that Hannah didn't go to regular youth group meetings?
No,
Are you saying that she didn't sit under your leadership? Is that the part you're saying is untrue?
that's correct.
And that's because you weren't the youth minister at that church, correct?
Correct.
All the while, now at the end of the paragraph 3, all the while going on mission trips with them and even babysitting their children. You don't have any objection to those statements, correct?
No,
And the next statement, our families were also close friends and we spent much time together outside of church activities. You don't have any disagreement with that statement, correct?
no, much time? I'm not sure.
You spent time together outside of church with Hannah Lynn's family, correct?
We did. We spent some time outside.
Yeah, okay.
Not much.
Okay. Well, that's not something you chose to challenge in your discovery responses as of yesterday. Correct?
That's correct.
And paragraph 4, regarding paragraph 4, take a second to look at that. I'm going to pull it up so we can see at the bottom of page 1 and top of page 2. Rather than read the whole paragraph, I'll let you take a look at it right quick. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Your discovery responses regarding that paragraph say that you never offered Hannah Cruz a job at Orbit Broadband and she never worked at Orbit Broadband, correct?
That's correct.
Did she work for any other of your companies?
No,
You say she would stop in after school and occasionally answer the phones at the front desk. Is that correct?
that's correct.
But you didn't pay her for that anyway?
No,
She didn't have any certain time that she needed to be there?
no,
She didn't have any set schedule?
no,
She wasn't a contractor to help answer phones in any capacity?
no.
That's the only objection you have in your discovery responses to paragraph 4, correct?
That's
Let me pull that up so I don't want you to think I'm
sorry.
yeah, that's fine. Let me show you. Give me 1 second. We'll go back and forth between these. This will be Exhibit 5. This is your supplemental discovery responses from yesterday. Show you the first page. Do you recognize those?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. On Exhibit 5 now, we're going to turn to this stuff about Hannah's affidavit. Okay. Your only objections to Hannah's affidavit in paragraph 4 is that you didn't employ her and she would just stop in occasionally to answer phones, right? You see that in the middle there in paragraph 4, that's your statement?
I never offered Hannah Cruz a job at Orbit Broadband. She never worked at Orbit Broadband.
Okay.
Yeah, I see
You don't
that.
have any, okay, you don't have any other objections then to anything else in paragraph 4 other than what you put there yesterday. Is that fair?
No.
Okay, why is that not fair?
Can you go back to the,
Sure. There's paragraph 4 of the affidavit.
I was reading, to go back to school for a senior. I agreed and my parents agreed, thinking the distraction would be good for me as well as the godly mentorship and counsel I'd be receiving from my youth pastor, Richard Galvan, as I work through my emotions. I don't. It's all hogwash.
Okay. So you're saying the bottom part of paragraph 4 is untrue as well?
That's correct.
Is there any reason you didn't state that that was untrue in the discovery responses you served on me yesterday?
No, I don't.
Have you looked at that since you verified your supplemental discovery responses and decided that that part is untrue now and it wasn't then? I'm just trying to, let me ask you a question, Mr. Galvan.
No, I'm just reading this and going through it, and I don't know, maybe I missed it because it was on the second page, and maybe I just went from the end of there to 5. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. But I
Okay. As we sit here today at your deposition, is that something you just think you left out as far as saying that that was not accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Your discovery responses, supplemental discovery responses, and I'm going to toggle back and forth to this next exhibit. Your supplemental responses say that paragraphs 5, 6, 7, and 8 are untrue in their entirety. You see that language that you put in there?
Yes.
You're telling me the deposition today that you didn't have any discussions with Hannah about her ex-boyfriend and her relationship or breakup with her ex-boyfriend?
That's correct.
And you didn't ever call her back to your office?
No.
Did she stay out front answering phones the whole time?
Objection form.
She wasn't an employee.
Well, when she came to your office to answer phones, did she just stay out the front and answer phones?
Objection
Or
form.
wherever the phone desk was?
Objection form.
When I was at the office, I was busy working, so I didn't pay attention.
You don't know where she went in your office then?
And she never came to answer phones, that's for sure.
Okay. You never talked to her about physical affection that she had with her ex-boyfriend?
No.
And you never told her that having sex with you would be the best way to get over her boyfriend?
No.
That categorically did not happen?
Absolutely not.
Moving on to paragraph 7. Your testimony here today is that Hannah never told you that she was virgin.
That's correct.
You had no knowledge one way or the other, correct?
That's correct.
And you never told her that your wife Sonia would be okay with this because it was to help her out.
Oh my gosh, no.
Okay. Did you ever kiss her at your office? I mean, paragraph 8.
I'm reading it now.
Sure.
That day. No, I didn't kiss her that day.
Okay. So honing to your discovery response from yesterday, all the account of things between you and Hannah in 6, 7, and 8 of her affidavit are untrue.
Correct.
Why did you not tell either the trial court in Cameron County or the 13th Court of Appeals that those statements were untrue?
I don't know.
Objection form.
What's the basis for that?
Legal opinion. That's exactly what he was saying in his original petition and first amended a petition.
Mr. Galvan, you would agree with me that you could have put in either one of your petitions in this case what you have testified here to today, that you had a sexual encounter with Hannah Cruz, but you did not manipulate or seduce her. You could have put that in there, correct?
Objection form.
I don't know.
Nothing stops you from indicating to the court that you had had a sexual encounter with Hannah Cruz and that your claim of defamation was only based on the words manipulation and seduction. There's nothing that would prevented you from adding that to your petition, correct?
I don't know.
Moving on to paragraph 9 of this affidavit of Hannah Cruz. Scroll it up. It starts out with, finally, after weeks and weeks of conversation and manipulation and coercion, convincing in Mr. Galvan's office, I take it you object to that as being untrue.
Correct.
And it says, she agreed to meet you at the La Quinta Hotel in Mercedes, Texas. That part you would agree with.
Correct.
I'm going to pull your statements up about, go ahead and take a gander at paragraph 9, and we'll ask some more questions about it. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. And this is your statement about paragraph 9. You say that there are no weeks of conversations or manipulation nor coercion in my office. You see that statement?
Yes.
And you've objected to you objected and stated as untrue today Hannah's accounts in the preceding 4 paragraphs of her affidavit about how this came to be preceding the incident at the La Quinta, correct?
Yes.
If Hannah's version of that is untrue, as you've testified here today, what led up to her meeting you at the La Quinta Hotel?
There was the time that prior to that was our meeting. She had come to the office one time. I was there. She had wanted to kiss me, wanted to hug me, wanted to talk about a dragon of some sort inside of her that she let loose when she was younger. After multiple attempts, we agreed to go to La Quinta.
How many times did you talk or interact with Hannah Lynn, preceding this meetup at the La Quinta? how many times, how long did this go on that y'all were talking?
Objection form. Answer.
She made 3 overtures.
Where she tried, what did she do in those overtures?
The first time that, as I said, she came into the office. She approached me, telling me that she needed to satisfy a need, that there was a dragon inside of her, some dragon that she had let out or let loose when she was younger, and that she needed to have something inside of her.
You remember when this first occasion was?
It was prior to us going to La Quinta.
Was it within the month before you went to La Quinta?
It could have been a month, could have been a couple of weeks.
Was it over a month? Could it have been 2 months before the La Quinta?
No.
So sometime 1 month or sooner, correct?
Correct.
And then you said there were 3 times. What happened in the second time?
Second time, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm working, and she walks in and she just gets closer and closer until her cheek is right next to mine. And I backed up and I told her, I was like, what are you doing? And then she backed off. I think she left. She left at that time. I told her she needed to leave, I believe.
Did she say anything to you that time?
No, she didn't say anything to me.
And you told her she needed to leave?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And how long before the La Quinta meetup was that?
Again, within the 2 weeks or so.
And then there was the third time you referenced. What happened the third time?
Third time, she came up. She said she needed a hug. She came up, gave me a hug. She leaned into me and kissed me on the mouth.
Okay. Did you say anything to her before she leaned in and kissed you on the mouth?
No.
Did you have any conversation with her whatsoever?
Before?
Yes.
No.
Where did this occur?
There in the office.
Where in the office?
In my office.
Where did the second advance occur?
I don't recall. I'm not sure.
Was it at your office?
It was at, like, in my office where I was working. Yes, it was in my office where I was working.
And then the first time this happened, you said there were 3 times. The first one, was that also in your office?
The first one I think was in maybe the middle office. I don't recall.
Okay.
Maybe the front. I'm not sure.
Was there anybody around to see any of these interactions that you just described, any of these 3 interactions?
No.
Prior to the 3 attempts that you described, had you had any conversations with Annalyn about anything romantic or sexual?
No.
Ever?
No.
Had you done anything that you would believe constituted flirting with her?
No.
Ever?
No.
So let's go back to that third time. She leaned in and kissed you. What did you do?
I backed up. I said, what are you doing? And I told her, I said, why are you doing this? And she just turned around and she left.
She left or she laughed?
Left.
Left your office?
Departed.
How did the conversation between you and her about meeting at the La Quinta start up?
That's the last time that she had come. And she came up to me, she kissed me. We kissed. I had a small couch, I believe, or chair, I don't remember. She pushed me on the back onto the couch. She got on top of me, and she said, what if somebody comes in? Let's go somewhere. So we went to La Quinta.
Did you go to La Quinta that same day?
I believe so.
What
Yeah.
time in the day? What time in the day did it happen that she pushed you on the couch?
Mid-afternoon, I believe.
And how long was it before you were going to the La Quinta?
An hour, 30 minutes, I'm not sure. Maybe less.
So
Yeah,
she pushed you.
I went.
Go ahead, sorry.
I went and she met me there.
Okay. So she pushed you on the couch and got on top of you in your office and then suggested to you that you both go somewhere private away from the office. Is that what you just testified to?
Yes, that's correct.
And in response to that, did you then call the La Quinta to get a room?
No, I think I just went over there.
Did you get on the internet, make a reservation?
No,
Okay. How far is the La Quinta from your office?
couple of 3-4 miles, maybe so. Couple of 3 miles
10-minute drive, maybe then?
or so.
Okay. Did you get to the La Quinta first or did she?
I believe I did.
And you went to the desk and got a room.
That's correct.
What floor was it on?
I don't remember.
You don't remember whether you had to go upstairs or an elevator?
I don't.
How many floors does that La Quinta have?
I have no idea.
More than 3?
I don't know.
Have you ever stayed there before?
No,
Have you ever stayed there since?
no.
How did you pay for the room?
I don't remember.
Did you use cash?
I don't remember.
Okay. How long after you had arrived at the La Quinta was it before she made it to the La Quinta?
Shortly. I don't know exactly, but she met me there.
Did you go up and open up the room before she got there?
No, we went up together. Or we went to the room together.
Okay, so you hadn't been in the room before she got there.
That's correct.
I take it the room was only in your name.
That's correct.
Did you use your given name to rent the room at La Quinta?
I don't remember.
I'm going to pull up. If you look on this paragraph 9 response you served us yesterday, you say there were no sexual acts plural. There was only one act of sexual intercourse. You see that?
I do.
Okay. The next sentence says she was most emphatically not a virgin. Do you see that?
Yes.
What is your basis for that statement?
I don't know. I mean, I believe that based off of that she was not a virgin.
You gave a sworn statement yesterday that contains the phrase, she was most emphatically not a virgin. Mr. Galvan, what facts that you knew of yesterday when you made that statement support that statement?
What facts do I have? She didn't have any fear or awkwardness, and she was experienced.
How do you know she was experienced?
She acted that way.
Is that your opinion then, not a factual statement, correct?
Correct.
You don't have any facts to support the statement that she was most emphatically not a virgin, correct?
Say that again?
You don't have any facts behind the statement that she was most emphatically not a virgin. That's your opinion. Is that correct?
Other than the way that she acted and showed herself, how she talked about the dragon, I think I'd assume that was her not being a virgin and had woken up something inside of her when she was younger, how she could just come on and be without any reserve. It led me to believe that she was not a virgin.
Okay, so that's your assumption and your belief then, correct?
That is correct.
You're not a doctor. You don't have any expertise in determining whether someone is a virgin or not, correct?
It is my opinion.
Well, let me answer the question, sir.
That is correct.
You don't have any particular expertise in being able to determine whether somebody's a virgin or not.
No, I do not.
And you don't know whether she went back to a high school volleyball game that day or not, do you?
I do not.
Moving along, I'm going to get back to paragraph 10 of the affidavit. Go ahead and give that a read. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay. Do you agree that weeks later, Hannah Lynn's mother found out about what had happened?
I'm not sure how much. Yes, I believe. Yes, that's correct.
Did you have any conversations with her mother about what had happened?
Yes.
What did you tell her mother, Starla?
I responded to some questions that she had asked me.
Did you tell her you had had sex with Hannah?
Yes. Only once.
You don't believe, based on your discovery responses, you don't believe your wife Sonia had any conversation about you sending mixed signals with Hannah?
That's correct.
Do you think that Hannah had a crush on you?
I don't know.
But you never flirted with her or suggested anything romantic until she suggested the same to you, correct?
Objection form. Facts not in evidence that he made any suggestion.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Well, going back to when you were in your office and you testified that Hannah pushed you on the couch and jumped on top of you and then said that you should go somewhere more private. Who made the suggestion of the hotel? Was that you or was that her?
That was her.
What did she say?
What if somebody comes in, we should go somewhere else?
Okay, she said you should go somewhere else. Who came up with the idea of a hotel? Was that you?
It was her.
What did she say?
Let's go to a hotel.
So Hannah Lynn asked you to go to a hotel in August of 2007.
That's correct.
And what was your response?
We went.
What was your response to her statement?
Okay.
That's it? Just okay?
That's it.
Did you have any more discussion than that before you left to go to the La Quinta?
No.
When you got to the hotel room, did you have any discussions with Hannah?
No.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't recall, but
Do you recall if you said anything to her?
no.
Did you have any other meetups after that meetup at the La Quinta with Hannah?
No.
Did you have any regular contact with Hannah after that?
Regular, no.
Did you participate with her in church activities after that?
Yes.
What activities?
Well, we went to church on Sundays, and I don't recall what activities might have been. Typically during December, there's like Christmas stuff. I don't recall all the activities and the definite attendance when she was there, but I do know that we did go on a church trip, a mission trip in June of 2008, which she did go on as well.
Were you ever alone with her during that time?
No.
Did you make any attempt to talk to her about this La Quinta incident after you left the La Quinta?
No.
Did you text her about the La Quinta incident after you left the La Quinta?
No.
Not at all?
No.
So you left the La Quinta and you never had any communications with her after that at all about that incident?
That's correct.
Did you ever come see her when she was a freshman at Trinity in San Antonio?
No,
With respect to paragraph 12, is your contention as we sit here today that everything in that paragraph is false?
that's correct.
So you never even came to San Antonio to see her at all?
That's correct.
Never bought her roses?
That's correct.
Did you ever give her any money after the La Quinta incident for any reason?
No,
And it's your testimony as we sit here today that the idea to go somewhere private was the idea of 17-year-old Hannah Lynn, who was at your office answering phones voluntarily for no pay.
that's correct.
You ever had any other similar incidents with young women at the church
No,
or anywhere else?
no,
Are you aware of any complaints about you being inappropriate with women?
no,
So it's your testimony today that you were the one that was seduced, and you were seduced by Hannah Lynn after saying no 3 times. And the 4th time she jumped on top of you and said, go somewhere more private, and then said, go to a hotel, and you said, okay.
Objection form. I believe it
Is
was
that right?
the third time where there was a jumping on.
as a fourth. It was 3 times I said no, and the 4th time, then yes, that is correct.
Okay. Going back to February of 2018, after you had filed this lawsuit, and you were aware of Hannah Cruz's affidavit that we just went over, did you not think it was necessary for you to file a version of your version of the story with the court?
Objection form.
I don't know.
You'd agree with me that if Hannah had lied about all the things you just said she lied about, those are hurtful and serious things to lie about, correct?
That's correct.
And that's if she lied about all those things, that's why you filed this lawsuit, correct?
That's correct.
Why then didn't you apprise the court of your version of what actually did happen?
No,
Why didn't you try to tell the appeals court what actually did happen?
I don't know.
Did you talk about, back at the time in 2007, did you talk about Hannah seducing you to anyone?
No,
Did you tell your wife about this incident or the incidents leading up to it back in 2007?
no.
When did you first tell her?
Say that again. I didn't, maybe I didn't understand the question.
When did you first tell Sonia about what had happened between you and Hannah?
I told Sonia what had happened between Hannah and I there in 2007.
So you did tell Sonia in 2007?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did y'all undertake to go to any counseling or anything like that about it?
Not at the time.
Do you know if Sonia talked to either one of Hannah's parents about it back in the 2007 timeframe?
No, I don't.
Okay. You understand that after I brought this motion to dismiss under the anti-SLAPP statute, that the trial court denied that motion, denied my motion to dismiss. You understand that, correct?
I don't know those things. I'm not a.
Well, you understand I took an appeal to the 13th Court of Appeals on behalf of my clients, Blaine and Hannah Cruz, relating to the anti-SLAPP motion. You understand that much, don't you?
Objection form.
Again, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
You know this case went to the Court of Appeals, don't you?
Oh yes.
And you knew that at the time when it went, that it was going to be appealed, correct?
That's correct.
And you participated actively in asking your lawyers to challenge the appeal, correct?
Yes.
And did you review the documents that were filed in the appeal?
I don't recall.
I'll pull up what will be marked as Exhibit 6. Write that down. Excuse me, Exhibit 5. Can you tell me what the name of that document is?
Blaine Cruz and Hannah.
It's right there.
Appellate's brief.
Yeah, that's difficult to get around. I know it's Appellee's brief. Okay. And that was filed by your attorneys that were acting on behalf of you and Sonia, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And by that time, you had Travis Bentz, Jim Young, and another attorney named Lena Chasson Munoz, correct?
That's correct.
Did you make an effort to hire Lena Chasson Munoz, or was that done on Bentz's recommendation?
On Bentz's recommendation.
Okay. Did you ask Bentz to bring in Mr. Young, or was that done on his recommendation?
I was on Bentz's recommendation.
Okay. Did you talk to any other lawyers about handling your appeal?
No,
Did you read this brief filed in the Court of Appeals on your behalf before it was filed?
no,
Did you ask to read this brief filed in the Court of Appeals on your behalf before it was filed?
no,
Up to the time your appeal, this thing went to the Court of Appeals, how much money had you paid your three lawyers, Bentz, Young, and Chasun Munoz?
Objection, form.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Do you have an understanding of how much you've paid those three lawyers total during the time they represented you?
I don't know.
Is it more than $10,000?
Again, I don't know.
Well, do you have any records to reflect what you paid your lawyers in this case?
For, I should. Yes.
Did they send you fee statements?
They told me what their fees were.
What did they tell you about their fees?
Objection. Don't answer
I'm
that.
not going to answer that.
Okay, well, you're right. I don't want anything they told you about the fees. What I do want to know is what the total amount of fees incurred by those three were.
I'll have to try to figure that out.
You don't have any understanding as we sit here today how much in total you paid those three lawyers to represent you during the time they represented you?
No, I don't.
Did you pay from a personal bank account or a business bank account?
I don't remember.
Did you pay for it or did Sonia pay for it?
Our names are on the same checks on personal.
Have you ever read the brief that your lawyers filed in the Court of Appeals on your behalf?
No,
To this day, you've never read it.
no,
You sued my clients for over $835,000. Don't you think that's something important that you might want to read?
Objection, form.
no.
I'm going to pull up a document here entitled Second Amended Brief of Appellants. Do you see that document now?
Yes.
That will be Exhibit 6, Madam Reporter. Have you ever read this brief filed by myself on behalf of the Cruzes?
No,
Was it ever sent to you by your lawyers?
I don't believe so.
To this day, you've never read it.
No.
Do you know if your wife has read either the appellant's brief or appellee's brief in this case?
No.
Pull up a document that'll be marked as Exhibit 8. This is the opinion of the Court of Appeals in this case, in your case. Have you ever read this document?
No.
This is a 16-page published opinion by the 13th Court of Appeals, authored by the Chief Justice. You've never read it at all?
No,
Why is that?
because I haven't.
Is it not important to you?
I believe, Mr. Chapman, that it's, I have not read it.
Well, is it important to you in any way?
It's important, but I don't know if I'd even understand it.
You made no attempt to read it.
I have not read it.
You have an understanding, as we sit here today, that the Court of Appeals adopted the facts laid out by Hannah Cruz in her affidavit as the facts of this case. Do you understand that as we sit here today?
Yes, I do.
Did you get that understanding from one or more of your lawyers? I don't want to know what they said to you.
I don't know. No, I
Did you?
I have no idea.
Did you get that understanding from somewhere other than your lawyers?
I do recall you saying it.
When was that?
When we were, I think on the either the non-suit or when Travis and Jim got off the case. I thought you brought that up. I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay. Was that the first time you'd heard that?
That's correct.
You understand that this 16-page opinion is published on the court's website, don't you?
I do.
Do you understand that it will be bound and put in a book called either Texas Reporter or Southwest Reporter, one of the big bound law books that are kept in law libraries if they keep physical copies? Do you understand that?
I guess so. I do now.
Do you understand that it's an official record of the Courts of Appeals of the state of Texas now?
I do now.
Did you understand at the time the opinion was issued that you had the right to seek an additional appeal to the Texas Supreme Court?
No.
Your testimony here today is that you did not even understand that you could go to the Texas Supreme Court after the 13th Court of Appeals issued its opinion?
That's correct.
So I take it then the answer that the question I was going to ask is, why didn't you take this up to the Supreme Court? It's because you didn't know. Is that correct?
Objection form.
I'm not an attorney. I don't know steps. I don't know positions. I don't know.
Okay. Why didn't you take this up to the Texas Supreme Court after the Court of Appeals decided this against you?
Objection form.
I don't know.
Do you understand that this published opinion is available on several websites that informally publish courts' opinions of the various courts of appeals in Texas?
Objection form asked and answered.
If yes, I do.
When did you first come to that understanding?
Right now, when you just said it.
So before now, you didn't have any understanding that this opinion was published by various websites that take it upon themselves to list courts of appeals opinions?
No.
All right, let me take like a 5-minute break if you don't mind. Run the restroom right quick. Is that okay with you? Okay, thank you. We'll come back in 5. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, we ready to go? Get back on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Let me make a correction to the exhibits we've been talking about. I was doing good up through number 4, which is the Hannah Cruz affidavit. Number 5 is the supplemental discovery, and I think at one point I made a bad note on that or did not note that. So that'll be number 5. 6 will be the Appellate's brief. 7's the brief of the appellants, the Cruzes. 8's the opinion, and I'm about to pull up what I think will be exhibit number 9, which is Mr. Galvan's original interrogatory responses. Getting those pulled up. Do you recognize this document, Mr. Galvan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this something you signed and notarized as being true and correct and within your personal knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. And these are your original interrogatory responses that you signed on or about the 20th day of February 2020, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You're gonna have to pull up my questions because your lawyers also didn't include the question there. Hold on just one second.
Prior lawyers.
Prior lawyers. Thank you. Correction noted and appreciated. Let's see here. All right, this will be, so we can figure this out, this will be number 10. Okay, and we're gonna go through. We'll skip down to number 5, which I believe is a question about youth activities, sports, etc. Do you see that question, Mr. Galvan?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go back to your original responses on that, where it says number 5. If you can see my mouse, it's right here. Do you see that?
That's correct.
Yeah. What is 2 words?
It's a program that the school district, the local school district, has for students.
Okay. I got to go back to, this is just confusing. It's not even the right one. I'm gonna have to sub out that. I pulled up the wrong one. Give me 1 second. This is it. Look and make sure I'm in the right spot now. Okay, number 8, please identify the date on which you communicated to any third party that you'd engage in sexual relations with Hannah Cruz, formerly known as Hannah Lynn. We're going to go back to your response. It says you spoke with Oscar Brooks regarding adultery in 2007 and again in 2018. Who is Oscar Brooks?
He's a member of Northway Bible Church. He's a missionary.
Okay. What did you tell him?
I told him that I committed adultery.
Did you tell them any of the facts and circumstances around it?
I did not.
Did you tell him who it was with?
Yes, I did.
Did he know Hannah Lynn or now Hannah Cruz?
Yes, he did.
Other than Starla Lynn and Oscar Brooks, have you talked to anybody else about this incident with Hannah Cruz?
At the time, no. Well, my wife.
Okay. Did you tell Mr. Brooks that Hannah seduced you?
No, I just said I committed adultery.
Did you tell her? Did you tell him you went to a hotel room with her?
I did not.
Is Mr. Brooks any type of licensed counselor or something like that that would have a privilege between you and him?
I don't know.
Do you recall what he said back to you about your account of this?
I do not know. No, I don't recall.
In response to Interrogatory 10, which I believe talks about psychiatric treatment and psychological treatment, which you were contended were a result of the Blaine and Cruz acts in your lawsuit. In February, you responded, "I'm attending counseling." Do you see that?
I do.
What counseling were you attending in February?
February 2019, we did, we were at a couples counseling and with the counselor, Sonia and I.
How long did that last?
We've still gone off and on.
All right. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get the questions up so I can read them along with what your lawyers put in. Okay, I'm going to turn to some what are called requests for admissions. You remember answering these, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Request for admission number 2 asks you to admit that you had sexual intercourse with Hannah Cruz, formerly known as Hannah Lynn, including vaginal penetration. You see that?
Yes.
And your answer to that was you admitted it, correct?
Correct.
Is that the first time you mentioned that in any pleading or motion or discovery in this lawsuit was in your answer to that admission? Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Response to request for admission number 3, admit that Richard Galvan worked with defendant Hannah Cruz in 2007. Do you see that request?
Yes.
And your response to that in February of 2020 was that you admitted it.
That's not correct.
Well, that was your response to the request for admissions that you signed.
Okay. But it's not correct.
Was it not correct at the time that it was the February of 2000 on February 21st, 2020?
That's correct.
So you now acknowledge that the admission that you made on February 21st, 2020 is wrong.
That is correct.
You have any explanation as to why you admitted something in February that you now claim to be false in May?
No, I don't.
None at all.
None.
Request for admission number 4 reads, admit that Richard Galvan was the supervisor of Hannah Cruz, formerly known as Hannah Lynn, in 2007. And if we click back over, your response to number 4 is that you admitted that. Are you now denying that?
I am.
What is the reason you've changed your answer or seeking to say that you deny that now when you admitted it in a written discovery response in just this past February?
Mine? Put that down. I'm denying both of them. I'm denying number 3 and denying number 4.
I understand that's what you're saying in your deposition that we're taking today. You admitted to both of those in February, and I'm going to ask you what happened between February and now with respect to number 4 to make you change your answer from admit to deny.
You know, I think I just didn't catch it was wrong.
You read the admission requests in February before you answered them in February 2020, did you not, sir?
Yes.
And you knew those answers would be legally binding upon you?
I did not know.
All right. Going on to number 7. Admit that you paid for a hotel room at the La Quinta in Mercedes, Texas, and had sex with Hannah Cruz in that room. Do you see that question?
Yes.
And your answer in February of this year is unable to admit or deny as no specific records exist. Is that still your answer as we sit here today at your deposition?
No.
The answer is you did rent that room and you did pay for it and you did have sex in there, so that should be an admission, correct?
I believe yes, that's correct.
And you knew all the things necessary to admit that number 7 back in February and you just refused to do so, correct?
No, that's not correct.
What did you not know in February that you know now?
Objection
With
form.
respect to number 7.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Let's go through this. In February, you said you were unable to admit or deny that you booked a room at the La Quinta in Mercedes, Texas, and had sex with Hannah Cruz in that room? Your answer reads, and I'll ask you to read it for me. Read the answer to number 7. It's up on the screen.
Unable to admit or deny as no specific records exist.
In February 20th, on or about February 20th of 2020, this year, did you know that you had paid for a room at the La Quinta and had sex with Hannah Lynn in that room?
I don't recall.
Yes or no, Mr. Galvan? Did you know that you had paid for that room in La Quinta in February of 2020?
Objection form.
Yes or no?
We've submitted amendment as you've requested, and where I have admitted to paying for a room and having sex with her.
Objection to the non-responsive answer. Mr. Galvan, in February 2020, when you answered this response number 7 to my request for admissions, at that time, did you know that you had paid for a room at the La Quinta and had sex with Hannah Lynn in that room?
That's correct, I did.
There wasn't anything preventing you from admitting the truth to number 7 at that time in February 2020, was there?
Objection form.
It says unable to admit or deny.
I understand that. There wasn't anything preventing you from admitting it since you've admitted it today, correct?
Objection form.
That I don't know. I don't know if there's anything permitting. I don't know what you're alluding to or trying to ask. I can't answer that question, but just on the pure basis of how you're asking it, Mr. Chapman.
Objection, non-responsive. I'm going to let you have this space in the record. This is a serious matter. I want to let you have a space to explain yourself.
Okay.
With respect to response to request for admission number 7, which you have changed from unable to admit or deny in February to today admitting, please list each and every fact that you have learned since February that enables you to now admit to that question.
Objection form.
Can you go back to the question, please, so I can reread it?
Madam Reporter, would you reread the question, please?
With respect to a request for admission number 7, what you have changed from unable to admit or deny in February to today admitting, please list each and every fact that you have learned since February that enables you to now admit to that question.
I have a new attorney who's explained that question to me and has
Objection form as
that's it.
Yeah.
I've had a new attorney that has explained that question to me.
So your testimony here today is that back in February, you didn't understand what was being asked in request for admission number 7.
Objection form.
Is that correct?
Are you asking about conversation between me and my attorney?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so what are you asking me?
I'm asking you in February 2020, with respect to request for admission number 7 that's on the screen right now, is it your testimony that you were not able to understand what was being asked by that question in February?
Objection form.
I followed my attorney's advice at the time.
Objection non-responsive. Okay. Could you read request for admission number 10 to me, please, sir?
Admit that Richard Galvan had previously acknowledged to Sonia Galvan that he had engaged in sexual relations with Hannah Cruz, formerly known as Hannah Lynn.
What did you not understand about that question when it was presented to you in February 2020?
I'm sorry, why are you stating that? Sexual relations?
I'm asking you, what did you not understand about that question back in February?
The aspect about sexual relations.
Okay. What did you not understand about sexual relations?
I don't necessarily know what sexual relations are or what you were asking in regards to what those words are.
You're telling me in February 2020, you didn't know what sexual relations was sufficient to answer that question?
In 2020.
In February, when this was sent over to you?
It's kind of vague and it's kind of ambiguous. I mean, I had sex once.
Okay, so if that had read sexual relations singular, not sexual relations plural, you would have admitted it?
Objection form.
I did admit to having sex once.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I mean, then you would have repeated it would have been a repetitive question.
Okay. Objection not responsive. All right. Request for admission number 11. Admit the statement Blaine Cruz then explained he would have put a bullet in Richard Galvan's head if Blaine Cruz knew Hannah Cruz in 2007 is true and correct and within your personal knowledge. Do you see that question?
I do.
And
Objection form.
in February of this year, you denied that, correct? You see the response?
I see the response.
Yesterday in supplemental discovery responses, you changed that deny to an admit. You know that, correct?
That's correct.
What additional information did you have yesterday to admit to that request for admission that you did not have in February of 2020?
The new attorney.
Anything else?
Better explanation by my attorney?
Go back over here. Hold on just 1 second. We're going to go back. There we go. Mr. Galvan, what I've done is I've flipped back to your supplemental discovery responses that were served yesterday, which were the 5th document that I've asked to be an exhibit in this deposition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back to the first page so you can identify it for me. Do you see that? And that's the responses you made yesterday, correct?
Yes.
An answer to interrogatory number 15, state your net worth is October 10, as of October 10, 2019. You have now answered that $120,000. Do you see that?
Yes,
How did you arrive at that figure of your net worth?
just off the top of my head.
Did you make any calculations at all?
No,
Did you take into account your ownership of any real property?
yes.
What real property did you take into account?
My home, cars, tractor, things with equitable value.
What did you use as far as the amount of your home?
Estimated amount of what it was worth and estimated amount of what we owed.
Okay. Did you take into account the business property you own on, I believe, Vogel Street?
I did
What is that building worth?
about 385 or so.
Why is this figure not at least 385 then?
Because I still have an outstanding loan on it,
And the amount of how much?
about 325 or 350.
Did you make any calculation for the value of your internet companies, G5 Internet or G5 Streaming?
I did.
For G5 Streaming, what did you value your ownership of that company at?
Value my ownership or value the assets of the actual company and the net worth? Because that's
if you made any determination of what the worth of that company was and correspondingly your interest in that company.
50%.
50% of what, sir?
I'm sorry, are you asking me about streaming or internet?
Let's start with G5 Internet. What do you believe that company's worth total?
Probably in October of 2019, it was probably worth about, we're struggling, maybe 15. And when it was all said and done, that's how much we would pretty much have in October of 2019, about 15,000.
What's G5 Internet's annual revenue for 2019?
We have not filed taxes yet.
Do you know about how much revenue you have a month through the year 2019?
I don't. I estimated our revenue is minimal. In 2019, we're struggling to make a payroll.
Okay. With respect to G5 Streaming, what did you estimate the value of that company to be worth?
Stream 0. None.
0?
That's correct.
If you ever reported to any corporate information service that G5 Internet has revenue of $7 million per year?
No.
Has that ever been true?
To my recollection, no.
Have you ever had an occasion to state the revenue numbers for G5 Internet on any loan applications with any banks or other lending institutions?
I don't recall, no.
Is G5 Internet, to your knowledge, ever taken out a loan?
No.
Has G5 Streaming, to your knowledge, ever taken out a loan?
I don't believe so, no. 7. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Galvan, in preparing your affidavits, in this case, I'm looking at request for production number 18. Your response is none. The question is, please produce any documents you reviewed in preparing your affidavits, which have been filed in this case. Do you see that question?
Yes.
Your testimony today, you reviewed no documents?
Preparing your affidavits.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Your testimony today is that you reviewed no documents in order to prepare those affidavits.
That's correct.
I've gone back to the affidavit in support of your first amended petition, and the first sentence of the second paragraph that I've now put on the screen reads, I, Richard Galvan, hereby state that Blaine Crows did the following on October 21st, 2018 at 7:01 p.m. Did you review anything to get the exact date and time in that affidavit?
It's just my estimate of when I called Blaine.
You didn't look at a phone bill or a phone or anything like that?
I do not, no, I didn't look at a phone bill.
That time is an estimate.
That's correct.
Okay, I also sent you in February request for production. Do you see those on the screen?
I do.
I'm going to pull up here your responses to requests for production made in February of this year. Do you see those?
Okay, yes.
These were made while you were being represented by Mr. Bentz and Mr. Young, Ms. Cheson Munoz. I'll represent to you, and you understand that they filed these answers on your behalf on 21st February 2020. You understand that?
I do.
With respect, I'm going to take a minute to look at your responses. All of them, most of them, there's big groups of them that are very similar. Okay. With respect to request 7, 6, and 5, it says you will make documents available for review at a mutually agreeable time. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my questions. That's 5 through 7. Have you made any billing or treatment records available to your lawyers?
No,
Have you brought anything to your lawyers for the purpose of making available to me to answer the request for production?
no,
No documents whatsoever.
no.
What have you done when you were answering my request for production, which I've now put up on the screen? Please describe for me your efforts to locate any documents responsive to these requests for production, numbers 1 through 24.
Um, I don't have any records of any request for production that you've asked in regards to your 1 through, what did you say?
1 through 24, or 24 requests.
What? Oh, through all of them?
Yeah.
Oh. So none for 1. I don't have any for 2.
Okay.
Uh,
Very
3.
politely, Mr. Galvan, before we go through all 24, let me interrupt you and ask you the question again that was posed to you. How much time have you spent looking for records responsive to these requests for production?
For questions 1 through, for requests for 1 through 24.
For all of them together, how much time have you spent trying to find documents related to my request for production?
I don't know how much exact time, but I do know that I do not have any records.
Did you spend more than an hour looking for these documents?
Objection form. How can you look for something he knows he doesn't have, Mr. Chapman?
I don't know.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Galvan. With respect to the documents requested in my request for productions, how much time did it take you to determine that you don't have any documents?
I read it. And so I read this in about 20 minutes and determined that I didn't have any records.
Okay. 20 minutes total?
That's what it took probably to read this.
Okay. With respect to request for production number 2, please produce copies of your phone bills for the year 2018. Do you see that request?
I do.
Your response is that you have no phone bills for the year 2018?
That's correct.
Is it your testimony here today that you have no ability to access your phone bills for the year 2018?
That's correct.
Why is that?
I don't. I don't have any copies of bills from 2000 and 2018.
You don't have the ability to go get them from your phone company?
No.
with respect to church activities that you conducted or your church activities with Northway Bible Church for the years 2005 and 2008. I'm on request number 11. Is it your testimony here today that you have no records?
That's correct.
For your corporate entities, I'm looking at request for production number 15. Is it your testimony here today that you do not have articles of incorporation, company agreements, bylaws, corporate minutes, and organizational charts for those companies?
That's correct.
With respect to the Lynn family, Hannah's parents, and Hannah and her siblings, how long have you and your wife known the Lynns?
About 8 years, maybe.
8 years measured from when?
From like 2005 to 2013. Or earlier, maybe 04. Between 8 and 10 years. 8 to 10 years, I would imagine.
Okay. When's the last time you had any interaction with any members of the Lynn family?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
After this incident with Hannah in 2007, did you remain friends with Hannah's dad?
Yes.
For how long?
Few years, I'm not sure.
Did you ever tell him what happened with Hannah in 2007?
No, we never talked about it.
How many siblings does Hannah have?
2, 3, I think 3.
Okay. You're familiar with all of those children, correct?
I'm not familiar with all of them, but no, I'm not familiar with all of them.
Are you familiar with Peyton Lynn?
Yes,
Is Peyton Lynn older or younger than Hannah?
I believe she's younger.
Did you ever have an occasion to ask Peyton Lynn to wear a wedding ring so you could take her to a bar?
Wow, no,
Never happened?
no,
Did you ever ask any member of the youth group at Northway Bible Church to go to the beach with you by yourself?
no.
Is it your testimony here today that the events with Blaine Cruz in 2018 caused you to move the school for one of your children?
Yes,
How many children did you have at the school at that time before you moved the one?
I had one child that I moved.
What about the other children?
I moved him to the school where the other 2 were attending.
Okay. And that was because of this incident with Mr. Blaine Cruz in 2018. That's your testimony today?
Absolutely.
To be clear, what school did you move him from and to?
He moved from STEM Academy in Harlingen to Calvary Christian School in Harlingen.
You play on the golf team at Calvary Christian School?
They don't have a golf team?
Okay. Now, you've denied that Hannah Lynn was your employee at Orbit Broadband. Did you have any other female employees at Orbit Broadband?
Yes.
How many?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Did you ever ask female employees at Orbit Broadband to wear shorts to work?
Oh, no.
Have you ever been prosecuted for any sexually related offenses?
No.
You ever been arrested for soliciting prostitution?
No.
With respect to your jobs leading up to when you were still working for other people, you were in several sales jobs. Did you ever gain any experience with internet search optimization as a part of your sales jobs?
No.
Do you have anybody at any of your companies that has that skill or expertise?
That can search the internet?
No, do you have anybody at any of your companies that has expertise in internet search optimization?
I don't know exactly what that means.
Do you have any you don't have any understanding of what that means? Internet search optimization?
No.
And do you have an internet service provider as your company, correct?
It is.
How do you market your ISP company?
Nowadays, just through word of mouth.
You don't market yourselves online?
We have a webpage.
Have you ever done anything with that web page to try to increase its frequency or priority in search results?
We've run Google ads before.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to ask you to look. This will be Exhibit 11. It's a record from Travis County, Texas, obtained by public information request. I'll submit to you. The first part is by Assistant County Attorney Claude Ricks, and he says he has good cause to believe and charge that on the 8th of July, 1992, before making and filing of this complaint in Travis County, state of Texas, Richard Galvan did then and there knowingly offer agree to engage in sexual conduct for a fee. To wit, said Richard Galvan offered and agreed to contact between the mouth of said Richard Galvan and the genitals of E. Leach for a fee. Do you know anything about that at all?
No.
Have you ever seen this document before at all?
No.
I'm gonna scroll down. Affidavit for warrant and arrest and detention. Have you seen this document before?
No.
Order of commitment for Richard Edwin Galvan dated July 8, 1992. Prostitution, Class B misdemeanor. Have you seen this document before?
Mr. Chapman, can we have a moment, please?
Let me get an answer to this question.
No, I've never seen that document.
All right, we'll take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Thanks.